Now I'm the global architect for an internal project called CE 2.0, Custom Engineering 2.0, which basically the goal is to implement a Web 2.0 infrastructure for the technical community.
That's a huge job.
Oh yeah.
How have you been doing so far?
Good. I mean, it's very complex because there are probably three areas where we're focusing on. One is technology, to build the right infrastructure for, to be Web 2.0 or even Web Next ready. Then there is a sociological or methodology component, because it's all about communities. So what we build is basically a community framework where people exchange knowledge across the globe, around certain products and technologies. So it's, how do you do that? What is the methodology that people start contributing and participating? And the third area we're focusing on is, we call it the community value system. On internet, community working pretty well because there are, millions of people participating. But it's pretty difficult to get people in an intranet, in an enterprise, to engage in online communities.
Community value system is a very interesting term. Who is the value for? Is it for the community or is it for Sun?
I mean, I just want to reference to one of my peer principal engineer, Alec Muffet. He's one of the most outspoken principal engineer we have. And he says, community, it's about what you give to the community, what value you give to the community, and what value you perceive, what you get out of the community. Mm-hmm. And I think the challenge is, in the end, is we have to answer one single question to the individual: is what is in it for me? Why do I do that? So that's for the individual. So the answer is, one value system or participant in the value system is the individual. What do I do there and why do I do that? And the other one is definitely the enterprise. One of the biggest challenge we have in this space is the business case to implement Web 2.0 in an enterprise. Why should we do that? And in our cases, we are a technology company, and we live and breathe technology, and it's most important that we exchange knowledge as fast as possible across the globe. So the business case for us is real-time knowledge management. But if you look at current systems, usually people consume a lot of knowledge, but they don't necessarily contribute. So we need to build a value system which shows them, hey, I'm contributing, this is what I'm gaining out of it. Or I'm participating, and participate means a person that does not necessarily need to contribute a lot of content. Maybe he's just giving feedback to others. So we're measuring in our system, we build a system which captures both. When you contribute something, you generate value. When you participate, give feedback, you generate value. And then we basically build an overall value system which shows that to the end users, but also to the company.
This might be a little easier if you just walk me through it and show me what happens there.
Okay. So let's do that. So this is a search screen in our standard internal search. And what I say, you may know we have some really cool technology called Solaris. Within Solaris we have an extremely cool technology called dtrace, which is pretty famous. So let's just search for dtrace. It's just an example. So what the system does, it gives you standard search results, but also it has categorized some content. So it says, hey, there are 5 technical presentations, 5 business white papers from dtrace. There are some tags which relates to dtrace that you can see here. And here you see, oh, there are people who are knowledgeable in this technology in our community. So we have, David and Benno and Jonathan, knowledgeable in dtrace. But also he figures out, hey, there are communities around dtrace. We have security ambassadors who relates to dtrace. We have a couple of customer projects related to dtrace. And here you see these are email aliases, which relates to dtrace. We spend a lot of time to understand what the user wants, and or let's say what the user needs. And it's simple stuff, like I need an export tomorrow. in the financial sector with identity management skills. How do I find this person? So we add the know who knows how. So we're adding the knowledge, or the information, the knowledge, and the person. And I think this is a huge opportunity. Now, as I said, is from a community equity perspective, which is our name for this social value system, is for the individual in the end, it's important to understand, what is my value I have in this virtual world? How do I gain value? What is my reputation? But I think in general we have to learn what is our status in an online community, and how can you gain value, and how can the community gain value from you? So, and the nice thing is with the youngsters we have, guy who grow up there, this is common sense. But I think from an enterprise perspective, this is something we have to bring into the enterprise and teach them. I think we need to aggregate all this disconnected information about the person to one place called the My Profile. I call it, we have to build the Facebook for the enterprise.
Why a Facebook for the enterprise?
I mean, it's just, I think for me, Facebook is a synonym of profiling.
Okay.
So it could be the LinkedIn for the enterprise, or the Facebook for the, whatever. It's just a synonym of a profile where you aggregate content about the person on one place. Okay. But when I used Facebook the first time, I don't know, a year ago, I logged in with my CERN email address. I said I'm in Switzerland, and I was immediately added to the CERN Microsystem community. So I clicked there and I saw 3,000 buddies who were in the network. So it was kind of, wow, this is cool. Then I clicked on Switzerland, and it was clever enough to say, hey, these are the people around you might know. So what I mean with that is I was just providing a couple of minimal information, and the system were able to surprise me. And I think that's the dynamic we want to bring to the system, that you log in, and suddenly maybe I say, hey, you should talk to this guy, because he has a similar interest, or you should do that, or is this what you're looking for? If we know who you are, and all the data we have somewhere are in a standardized form, I can do a simple mesh-up service based on the person and present them the information he needs on his profile. So I think that's what we're looking for is, first focus on the person, put that in the middle, standardize the technology, and then using mesh-up service. And the search I showed to you is one of the mesh-up services where you can just aggregate the content together. So this is basically our CE to the low beta site, and this is the profile, my own profile. So this is the non-Facebook of the enterprise. So what you see here is, this is me, this is my address, telephone number, and so on. And also you see here already, I have certain roles in the community. These are not job roles, these are community roles. And here, now you see my equity widget on my profile. We look at contribution. What is your contribution? Have you done, you have posted a white paper, you did a wiki update, you blogged about it, you have IP, you generated a patent, as example. So that calculates your contribution equity. On the other hand, maybe you are not the guy who writes a lot of paper, but you read a lot. And when you read a lot, that means you could rate it. I mean, today people read a website, but I got no feedback. I mean, I think it's already a little value to go to the site, but it's more value to rate, and it's even more value to comment, because it improves my content. And last but not least, we have a methodology how we can measure or see that something has been reused by someone else, which is the highest level of participation. I'm reusing your content. So we basically launched this beta site at the conference. We were running CEC as a social network conference. And what we did is, basically, these are all the sessions I attended at the conference, and it dynamically puts me in this community. So I'll give you an example. Web 2.0 nitty-gritty, that's Team Bray stuff. That's a presentation from Team Bray. So you see here, Team presented that. You see his presentation. You see his audio. You see the community feedback through the forum, and you see basically who has attended this session at CEC in Las Vegas. Now, what I would love to do, if that makes sense, is, we kind of talked backwards from search. I showed you the result, yeah. But also I want to show you what we do to metadata enrich data so that it's simple to the user. I'm adding a document into the community. Now, what the system does, it uploads it, and it dynamically analyzes the content of the presentation. So it says, oh, this is a presentation. It was done in Italy. So what's this data I have? This is the description, these are the metadata. So it basically, this software is able to analyze 60 plus file types, plus websites, and extracts metadata. And that's based on an open source technology called Aperture, which we extended. Now what is also cool is the system dynamically grabs all the tags I have previously used. So you see, let's say I want to have an identity product. This relates to an identity product. You see the red tags are official product tags. So if I take this identity server and add it, that links it back to the whole identity product world, from design papers to bug reports. And also it can link it back to the CRM or business application. So I can do mashups between business data and community content. And it's easy on the internet. The youngsters, they are there. But how can you motivate 9,000 people to do a little bit extra work to share information? And that's what we want to build here.
You make it fun. That's how you motivate them.
Surprise them twice a day. I think that's...
Well, I just had a surprise today. And I thank you greatly for the time you just spent with us, because this was terrific.